Sheilaa Hite, world-class transformational astrologer, tarot master, spellcaster, life mentor, and all-around magical being. And I'm here today to talk to you about July's astrological forecast. Well, it's going to be an interesting month. July this month is hot, as we know, those of us in the northern hemisphere. July this month, whether you're in the north or the south, is going to be hot as far as the astrological prospects are concerned. We've got a lot going on. We're going to start with today. Today, July 1st, Saturn, the planet that has moved on to Aquarius, has now moved back into Capricorn. Saturn is the ruler of the sign Capricorn. Saturn rules social mores. Saturn rules the rules. Saturn rules structure. So Saturn is moving back into its own sign, which means that we're going to take a closer look at the rules, at our structure, the structure of our governments, which we've all been looking at. We're going to take a closer look at our power in that. This next few months is going to give us an opportunity to really not only examine our power, but to begin to dismantle that does not work for us. And you dismantle it. We have seen a lot of the initial steps of dismantling, but now we're going to go in and dismantle in a more, I'd say, a more organized fashion. And when I say organized, I mean we're going to have the right tools. The tools that we needed at first were very important. We had to shake this foundation. Now that the foundation has been shaken and bolts and nuts and screws have been loosened, we're going to go in with our proper screwdrivers and the proper blow torches, and we're going to take apart what doesn't work. There is going to be resistance, as you can see, there will be resistance, but the resistance is futile. This is an idea whose time has come. Your best bet now with Saturn going back into Capricorn, your own personal life, and by the way, everything I'm talking about is personal, in your own personal life, is to let's see what's happening in your life. What do you need to own? What do you need to disown? That is, what do you need to leave your life? What do you need to do to make sure that you are showing up in a great, profitable, structured way for yourself? Something that will promote you where you are and will promote your dreams so that you can actually have the dreams you have and you want to come true. So as I look at my notes, I see that it's extremely important that we pay attention. Saturn has given us another chance. Saturn is not a picnic, it's not a vacation, it's work. And it's hard work sometimes, but it's work that can be profitable. So what we need to do is take a look at what is important to us, own it, and work for it, promote it, because it is working for and promoting us. On July 3rd, the planet Mars, which Mars rules how we take action. Mars rules conflict too. Mars rules energy. Mars rules engines. Mars rules the warrior. Mars, which is in its own sign of Aries. Now, when a planet is in its own sign, as I said before, it's got extra oomph. It's like 1,000 times more intense, especially it being Mars, which is fire, and in its own sign of Aries, which is fire. Mars, action, how we take action, conflict, is going to be making an abrasive aspect to Mercury. It will be squaring Mercury in Cancer. Cancer rules feelings, emotions, the foundation of the soul, and Mercury rules how we gather and process information, rules communication. So actions and communications will want to do this. You, it's up to you, are going to have to say, no, I'm not going to let my emotions, because Mars is very emotional too. It's fiery emotion, and Cancer is watery emotion. I am not going to let myself be led around by my emotions, fiery or watery. Because if you don't believe me, somebody's feelings are going to get hurt, Mercury in Cancer, and somebody is really going to react strongly, Mars in Aries, and it's not going to be the most, I'd say, the most pleasant or pretty spectacle, unless you understand that this is a very sensitive time. When Mercury is in Cancer, it's very sensitive, that you're very sensitive, even when you're not aware of it on or subconscious level. And understand that it's a sensitive time. We don't need more battle in the world. We need more co- communication and cooperation in the world. So when Mercury feels very tender, Saturn has to realize that it's not Saturn, but Mars and Aries has to realize it's not all about you. Mars has to realize I don't need to take this personally, just as Mercury does, but Mars can do it a lot faster. And it's because somebody has got to stop doing this. So when that Mercury in Cancer squares that Mars in Aries, somebody just had to say, look, I know we can talk about it, we can work this out. Sometimes it's you with you. Most often, though, it's you with other people. So you don't have to be right all the time. You just have to make sure you get through the moment successfully. And successfully means no hassles, no fights, no arguments. With Mars and Aries square Mercury and Cancer, this is an excellent time. Do you like daredevil sports? Do you like writing or reading adventure stories? Do you like testing yourself? This is a good time for that. Use the energy that way. Don't let the energy use you. On July 5th, we have a lot going on. This month, as I said at the beginning, is hot, and it's not just the temperature. We have the moon in Capricorn. It'll be a full moon, already intense. Opposition, the sun in Cancer. Full moons are intense, no matter what sign they're in. Opposition, the sun. It's going to be an intense time. In addition to that full moon in Capricorn, we have an eclipse, a lunar eclipse. All eclipses are intense. Solar eclipses bring something into our lives. Lunar eclipses remove something from our lives. So get ahead of the game, decide what you're ready to give up, and give up a little bit more than that. Because the universe is going to come in and demand that you release something to them. It's something you don't need, no matter how much you've convinced yourself you do, no matter how much you hold on. This is a month that is going to be happy that you're a good person and that you have lovely dimples, but isn't going to let you slide because you're a lovely person and you have great dimples. This is a month that's going to say, wait a minute, we need to all show up at the line and be responsible and begin to own ourselves. And own ourselves in a way that supports us personally and supports society as well. Now, at the time that the sun is opposite the moon, and there's an eclipse going on with the moon, there's a lot of intensity there. The planet Mars, I mentioned that before, is in its own sign, Aries, and it is making a square aspect to both the moon, which is already full and has an eclipse, and to the sun, which is pretty hot. So you've got a lot of tension there, and you have a lot of opportunity to do what? To come to a place of balance and harmony. Now, if you don't take the opportunity, there's going to be a lot of it. Well, there's going to be a lot of explosion. There's going to be a lot of hassle, and there's going to be a lot of fighting internally and externally. What you can do, though, is you can put that energy into finding balance. Ask yourself every day when you get up, ask yourself 1,000 times a day, what can I do to create more balance? What can I do to create more balance? No matter what's going on, if somebody cuts in front of you on Mass Pike or on the freeway or in the grocery store, ask what you can do to create more balance. It's not for you to jump in, demand your rights as a human being. Look, take a deep breath, step back, respond, and do not react. Because then you're not dragged into somebody else's drama. You're not having to pay the price for being dragged into somebody else's drama either. So, with what's going on with the full moon, the eclipse, the sun, and Mars, it's a great opportunity to take that energy and create, because that's all creative energy too. Create what you want. Create. Let's say if you decided there are certain things I want to get started, great. Let's get those things started. You know what a great way to start is? Making a list. A list, a written list, is the first stage of physical manifestation. Make a list. Then see what it takes to fulfill that list. So you can make little notes on your list. Involve your energy that way, and your energy will not be attracted, will not be seduced by the lure of intense passion that usually looks like an accident or a fight. So use that energy for you. Use that energy to build what you want to promote yourself and move you forward in your life. On July 12th, Mercury, which is currently retrograde, and it's quite a retrograde, it's definitely not taking any prisoners this time. Mercury on July 12th will go direct. Yes. When Mercury goes direct, give yourself permission to relax. Give yourself permission to feel what you feel. And give yourself permission to, is there a trinket or is there something wonderful you'd like to buy? Is there a great book or literary work you want to buy? Buy that. Find yourself a way to invigorate your mind. Find a way to get your in a sense, to get your motor revved up, your mental motor. Because what's been going on is when Mercury was retrograde was everything is inward, inward, inward. This is a great time, by the way, during the retrograde to read, to re-examine, to research, to retreat. This is great for that. Now, when it goes direct, let's bring out all of those things you learned and see how they fit with your list. See how they fit with your life and begin using all this terrific hot energy to move you forward. There is a basic theme to this month. The energy is hot. That means the energy is ready to be used, and use it or it will use you. The next thing we look at is July 14th. And the sun in Cancer will be opposition. Sun here, opposition. Jupiter, Pluto, and the newly re-entered into Capricorn, Saturn. So the sun is going to be asking us, the sun, the life-giving force, will be asking us, are we aware of all of the expansiveness that's open to us? Are we willing to make the sacrifices? And these are not cut off your arm sacrifices. These are those petty little things we hold on to. Are we willing to make the ego sacrifices we need to transform? And with the sun, that sun opposition Capricorn, are we ready to take responsibility for being who we were created to be? So yes, there's a bit of tension there because human beings don't like changing habits, but changing habit is exactly what this time is all about. Shift your habit. A major shift has occurred, and it occurred a little over a week ago. And we're in the middle of it. And you can choose how you want that shift to affect you. Or you can choose to not do anything and be affected by it. The next aspect will be the new moon in Cancer. It's fabulous. This is going to be on July 20th. I love the new moon. I love the full moon. And by the way, for the full moon on the 5th and the new moon on the 20th, make sure you make moon water. How do you make moon water? Well, those of you who know me know that are pretty well versed in how this happens. But for the rest, get yourself a container of water and put it where it can get the energy of this wild and wonderful new and full moon energy. And let it set in the new and full moon energy for at least a night. I like to start 3 days before the full moon or the new moon, and I like to let it sit 2 or 3 days afterwards. That way it gets the full arc of the full moon and the new moon. And then I can sip from it. I can use it in cooking. I say moon water is very invigorating, it's very vitalizing, and it's a great game to play. I look at life basically as a game, and it's a great one to play because you're helping yourself. You're drawing down the power and the energy of the moon, and you're making sure that it nurtures and hydrates you. I can't think of anything better. So the sun on the July 22nd, the sun enters Leo. That means we leave the sign Cancer, the nurturing sign of Cancer, and we go into the passionate, creative showbiz sign of Leo. Well, great showbiz. Now we're still dealing with Mars and Aries, so there's a lot of drama there. And we're definitely dealing with the effects of still the full moon drama there, and the effects of the eclipse, which will last 6 months. There's drama there. So now we're in the sign of Leo, which is drama. Make sure that you write your own script. Do not co star or be a bit player or a stunt person in somebody else's story, somebody else's play, somebody else's script. Because if you're not one of the stars of your own story, then you're going to have to follow somebody else's lead. You can cooperate. An ensemble cooperates. They all get together and they recognize, pardon me, they recognize the star quality in each other. If you're not with a troupe of players who recognizes your star quality as you recognize theirs, you're in the wrong troupe. When the sun goes into Leo on the 22nd, make sure you're either on the stage you like, if that's by yourself, or you're with a group of people, your troupe, who really know how to play together and support each other's sun or each other's light. Then the last big aspect for this month is on July 27th, and that is Venus. That's what happens there is Venus, the planet of women, the planet of balance, the planet of self value, and the planet of pretty things. Venus is in Gemini, and it will be squaring Neptune in Pisces. So, what that means is your balance, your system of balance, your system of determining value, the relationships you're in or the relationships you're attracted to, you need to make sure your feet are on the ground. You need to make sure you're thinking. That Venus is in Gemini. It thinks much better than it's feeling because it's in this aspect, this square aspect to Neptune. And Neptune is in its own sign, Pisces. Wow. So we've got a lot of planets in their own signs. Neptune in its own sign will create a lot of confusion. Now, Neptune in its own sign is great for creativity and it's great for dream work. It's great for meditation. But you have to make sure your feet are on the ground. What I do a lot these days, and I recommend, is I have ankle weights. And I recommend if you don't have them, go out and get them. A half pound, a pound on each ankle, and wear them all the time. Especially wear them from about the 22nd of July to about, I'd say the 5th of, no, the 8th of August. Wear ankle weights because it'll keep you balanced and it'll keep you grounded. And if you're balanced and grounded, then Neptune can't knock you off balance. And you can use Neptune, which is highly creative. You can use Neptune with that Venus, which is also highly creative. And you can take that square and you can make them work together. Because astrologically, Venus is at its best when it's associated with the sign Pisces. So here you've got it. Venus, I know it's in Gemini, but it's associated square with the planet Neptune, which is in the sign Pisces. So it's will take a little bit of maneuvering, but you can go from the square to cooperation very easily. So that's July for us. It's definitely going to be interesting. It's going to be fiery. It can be productive and creative, and it can be a lot of fun. But you have to take responsibility for making sure that's the case. So lots of joy to you, and we'll speak again soon. Take care.